Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The True Path Entrepreneur, your guide to living your purpose and growing a business you love with freedom and fun. I'm your host, Beth Weinstein. I'm a transformational business coach helping current and aspiring entrepreneurs align with their true purpose to live a life you love and grow a business you love, working anywhere you want on your own terms. And today I'm really excited to be talking with Dr. Sharon Ufberg. Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Hi, Beth. Nice to see you today.
See you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Sharon is the co-founder of the personal growth and wellness company Borrowed Wisdom and is a highly respected integrative health practitioner. She creates and teaches online personal growth courses and privately coaches individuals as a senior consultant for Borrowed Wisdom and Good Advice Works, companies she created to assist people to turn their dreams into reality. Dr. Ufberg coaches, trains, and guides individuals in clarifying and achieving their professional aspirations, whether corporate or entrepreneurial. Dr. Ufberg is a radio host and freelance journalist who writes about the human spirit, people, and places that make a difference, women, musicians, and philanthropic initiatives. Sharon is a published writer who interviews and blogs for the Huffington Post and Thrive Global and is a regular contributor on HuffPost Live and is the past health and wellness editor for Napa Valley Life magazine. Well, Sharon, I love that you're up to so much, and I know you're on the path to helping, probably like me, a lot of female entrepreneurs or people, wanting to start their own business. Can you tell me, you've done a lot, and I love that you were this editor for Napa Life magazine. How did you get onto this path of, personal development and coaching and helping other people along this path?
Yes, so I think that we all, seek out what we need, in so many ways. So for me, I spent 20 years as an integrative health doctor, a chiropractor. I raised a family. And from the outside, it looked really good. I looked like I had the world by the tail. But on the inside, I wasn't feeling like I was really living my purpose. And, my 20-year marriage was kind of on the skids. And I started really needing, now this was 15 years ago already, I started really feeling like I needed to figure out how to make my next chapter of my life successful, happy, meaningful. And it wasn't like today. People couldn't just log on and listen to your, telesummit. It was hard to find mentors, and I had to read books and study and look for, really through a lot of trial and error, how did I go from where I currently had been to where I wanted to be? And that's, so it was all about how did I really visualize my future? How did I set the right intention? How did I tell a new story for what was possible for me? And then how did I, figure out how to pick myself up and then go and do it? So for me, lots of work getting to that place where I felt like I could truly believe in myself. And, what it took me to do was literally pick myself up, move 3,000 miles from California to New York City by myself without a lot of resources and really reimagine a new life for myself. And, pounding the pavement, really having a lot of these tools in place, having a commitment, having what I call a manifesting mindset to really step into a very new, interesting, successful career, and then also find a new, wonderful, romantic new relationship. So I ended up really rolling through a lot of this work that I now teach others personally. So it was very personal to me. And reimagining myself, that bio sounds crazy, but I keep reimagining, writing, traveling, these are things that are meaningful pieces to my life story. And I feel like I've just begun, moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, back to the West Coast, lived in Napa. Now I live one block from the beach in Southern California. And I keep redo, first I wrote about women. Now I write travel stories. It's like the sky's the limit, right? And that's what I try to teach people to do.
I love it. Yeah. And I love that you just mentioned the limit. I just broke through some huge limits myself. And now I'm on this mission to tell everybody, I'm like, it's limitless. I knew this intellectually, but to actually finally embody it and to actually feel it and oh my God, we really are limitless and there is no end and we can do so many things. I'm very much like you. I have my hands in so many different places, projects, things that are nothing to do with business, but really big passion projects. And it's all, it's all intertwined and we can really have anything. So I want you to talk about Because I know there's a lot of people watching who've either recently started a business or want to start a business, or they just want to grow their business. But this idea of, you know, limitlessness and what you mentioned, manifesting mindset, like what is that all about? Like we all know manifesting is thrown around and I talk about it a lot, but like,
so I really love to use this infographic, and I'm happy to send it to you and you can put it up as a link, but it's really this idea of having this notion of what your potential is, right? We all have a certain amount of potential, but what do we do with that potential? So, you know, if you take a, you know, kind of a square and you put potential up in this top box and then you draw an arrow, over here is action, right? So whatever potential you have to take a certain amount of action with that potential, whether it's a small action like writing in a journal every day, visualizing your dream, creating a blueprint for your business. You have to take some action. And once you take action, you know what happens? You get results. And that's in the box right below action. You point it. And those results are what drives you to feel like you have some certainty. And the certainty is down in this box, right? And so now you have your potential, you take some action, you get some results, it creates some certainty that you're going to be able to succeed. And what that certainty does is it drives you to believe you have more potential. And that's how you create this upward spiral. So that's what I call my manifesting mindset. When you have like this unlimited amount of potential that you create action and then you get successful results, big or small, it makes you feel more certain that you're going in the right direction. Right? So then you feel like you can do more, and that's the spiral. So that's a really, really great way to begin to think about what you can do. And it's a matter of, you know, step by step. You have to have a certain amount of resilience, right? There's no straight line to the stars. Everybody has a day that doesn't go well, or somebody says no to them. You have to have the resilience. You know, you have to have this belief that the universe is pushing you in the right direction. You know, when one door slams shut, it's just the universe pushing you to go to a different door that's going to lead you where you're supposed to be. You know, I love Mike Dooley. He's a really wonderful manifesting guy. And he always says, you can have the most brand new, brilliant car, and you can have a fantastic GPS in that car to take you just where you want to go. And you can have your key in ignition. But if you don't take your gear out of park and put it into drive, you don't go anywhere. And it's the same thing, right? You have to set in motion what you want to do in your life. You know, it's like Prince Charming was not going to knock on your door, right? You got to go out there and look around. So it's that kind of work. How do you begin to really do that work? You know, and for me, whether it's a business that you have and you want to grow, whether it's launching something new and thinking about what am I passionate about, it's really about how do you connect your heart and your mind. You have to open up this channel, and there's really lots of tools and techniques to do that. You have to begin to do that inner work to then be able to launch all those wonderful strategic strategies of course we need them when you grow a business, but you got to get your inner game together too.
Yeah, it's so funny you bring this up, because I was just talking to someone last night about this. I'm like, look, you can have all the marketing strategies in the world. You can have the best copy. You can have a gigantic email list. You can have 10 million followers on Facebook or whatever. But yeah, if you haven't done this deeper inner work and, really believe in yourself, really believe in what you're offering, really, are connected to your heart and connected to your grander mission, then it's like all that stuff is kind of like, whether people know it or not, people see through all the BS. You know, it's like they feel your energy. I mean, at least most of the people I know I can. So yeah. And I would love
having that clarity. You have to get clear. You have to really sit down and say, what would I love? You know, like most people that are yearning for something, that are trying to push to the next level, that are looking to leave their corporate job and to start their own business, someone who's trying to take a small business and make it bigger, it's driven by some discontent or longing. If they were perfectly happy where they were, they wouldn't want to do that, right? So you have to take that discontent and longing as this gift of awareness and then turn it around and say, okay, let's just change my paradigm. How do I evolve from where I am now? Forget what current circumstances you're in. It doesn't matter whether you have a huge bank account to fund your business or whether you don't have a dime and don't know where the next one's coming from. You have to evolve your paradigm, not based on your current circumstances, but on what you would love to do. Right? What do you see? You have to have a dream. I'm sure you see the same thing, Beth. I have so many people, when I start to talk about this, they can't articulate their dream. They can't even articulate what their perfect day looks like, until you can see that, right? Until you can start to push towards that, it's hard for the universe to respond to you, right? So I think getting clear, getting really, really open to what it is you would love and being okay with it and forgiving yourself for not being there yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. That's such a big one, right? Like so many people who are, they use the same words, like I'm stuck and I don't know. And I just know there's something else. And I know I have more purpose, but I don't know what it is. And I need this job to pay for this and that. And, I'm scared. And then they just really stay in this stagnant place. And then they get even more upset because it's not happening quick enough, or, all this time has passed, and it's like a downward spiral. So what would you say to people who are really feeling that, that pull towards finding their purpose or stepping into something new, but then they really stay in this stuck place, or, they're just not sure. Like when you say get clear, like I have a client who's dealing with this now. She's like, I'm just not clear. All I know is I want to do something else.
Right.
Like, do you have any tips or tricks to help people get the clarity?
I think it's really important for people to just start to do something on a daily basis, really begin to habituate new habits to explore new ideas, right? Because you don't just, new ideas, this, when people say, oh, I always get this great idea when I'm in the shower. Well, why do you think that is? It's because you've taken away all the distractions. Right? You're not on Instagram. You're not on your phone. You're not listening to the news, right? Your spouse or your friend isn't talking to you. You're all of a sudden, you get a chance to hear your own voice, right? So you have to create opportunities where you actually hear yourself. Because if you create rituals where you're actually beginning to create space for new ideas to emerge, they do emerge. It's amazing. Your own inner wisdom is your best advice, is your best coach, right? But often people don't have any opportunity to actually hear themselves. So I give people lots of ways to do that, whether it's journaling, whether it's creating just short meditation opportunities to actually ask themselves questions, all kinds of exercises to do, but creating new habits. It's almost as if saying you're stuck, that's your story, right? So you have to decide you're going to have a new story, right? So you start saying, I'm open to all of what the universe has to offer me. Like, I can't wait to meet the right person who's going to trigger this perfect idea for me, or I'm going to walk into a room and conversations there are going to really spark my ingenuity, right? It's just a matter of like setting yourself up for that moment to come when you're actually going to find your purpose. And honestly, people often really don't think they know what they're interested in. And then when you start digging in, well, what do you love to do? Well, what was your favorite thing to do as a kid? Well, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be spending it doing? When you get to that, what people like to do, what people would love to do if they had the free time to do it, what spoke to them very passionately as a child, what they're committed to in their heart of hearts, that very often drives them to what the work they should really be doing, because you want to wake up with some passion for what you're doing. Lots of people are like me, you don't have just one passion. It's not like it's a life commitment. You could start this business, start it now, do well at it, and move it to another level, right? Even if it's a business you love, it's going to take twists and turns and change and do it in lots of different ways. When I started Borrow Wisdom with my daughter, it was going to be a live events business, and we were going to have all these great speakers and travel. And then we realized very quickly we wanted it to be an online business, and we were going to do courses online, and we wanted to have things that we could sit at the beach and have a business, and not ever have to put on heels again.
Mm-hmm.
But, we couldn't have known that 2 years before, right? And so you have to be able to see that even your most passionate work is going to evolve and change, and that the journey is the beauty of it. It's not getting to somewhere. There is no there to get to.
Yeah.
Right? By the time you're there, you're on to the next thing. At least certainly it's been true in my case.
Yeah, no, it's completely true. I always tell people, because I have another business that kind of runs on its own on the side. That was my original life purpose. Like this is what I thought I was here to do on the planet. And then, over a few years, like things started to transform, and I've told this story many times, how I organically, accidentally fell into business coaching because everybody just asked me for help. And I finally, asked for money from one person. Next thing you know, I had clients. But it's the same thing.
It's so funny. It's so similar. I was sitting, I had an online business where we were doing these coursework, but I wasn't doing any private one-on-one coaching. And the whole point was not to do that, really. And I was literally helping a friend in going through a very step-by-step thing with a friend at a coffee shop. And I had a stranger come up to me and say, "I'm sorry, I overheard you talking to her. Could I hire you too?" I was like, "Sure." And my friend was like, "Did I hire you?" And I'm like, "I guess you did, because you just got me that client, And it's just, that's really being open to whatever, being able to say yes. What's a yes for you? If coaching other entrepreneurs is a yes for you, then that's what it looks like. But maybe coaching, 75-year-old ex-professional golfers, that's not your ideal client, right? So you're not going to focus on that and educate people to think that's what your expertise is, right? You got to get clear. Who do you want? If your ideal client is a 35-year-old past executive woman who is launching her own business, then you have to set everything you do around attracting those people to you, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's ways to do that by really being super clear. What do you have to offer? Right? Yeah. What are you doing? What are you serving? What's your message? What are you teaching? These are things that are very, very simple, but they have to have some real intentionality to them, right? You have to really be clear. What's the blueprint for your business? What's your intention? What value do you provide? What message do you want? What do you want to wake up and make sure everyone knows about what you stand for in the world? Mm-hmm. I have a very strong belief in giving back. Mm-hmm. It's always been something I've loved. And I find, honestly, when you give first, when you're generous with your time, when you're generous with your knowledge, when you're generous with your resources, it boomerangs back to you so abundantly. Yeah. And people feel like, oh, I just barely have enough myself. That's the time where you should be feeling the most giving, because that's when you need the most back, right? And it's something that people don't understand when you're just starting. Why should I give that away? Because that's how the universe, that's how it works, and it's such a wonderful way to be in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes I feel like, well, not sometimes, I know it's like we've all been taught wrong that, a lot of us have been raised with this notion of competitiveness and keeping everything to ourselves and not giving and not sharing and, like proprietary everything. At least, I came from the corporate background where it was like dog eat dog world. And, once I entered the entrepreneur world, it was completely different, where it was like, people, this is actually how I found my first clients. It was just like, I was just giving, I was just helping people left and right, like over and over and over for years, until it got to a breaking point where I was like, oh my God, I can't do this unless people start working with me. But it came from that place of generosity. And I agree with you completely. Like this, I make jokes that I'm like, oh, the more, I mean, it's not even a joke, but the more abundant I become and the more my business grows, the more like everybody around me grows, like all my clients, friends and family, even just like random people that it's just this energy of, like me putting it out there and me inspiring others. And this is the whole point of doing this series, is to have other people like, awaken and see this possibility for themselves. Like,
definitely.
If you and I can do it, and you and I can just go forward and really follow our hearts and follow with, like what is calling us, and being okay with the way things, unfold. Like you said, it's a journey. Like I was just talking about this last night. I'm like, you always have to remember it's a journey. There's always ups and downs. There's always ebbs and flows. There's always, turns on a path that you didn't expect. And it's always for the best. Now I'm curious, like, I know you help a lot of entrepreneurs. So, a lot of people watching, let's say, have already started a business, but they're looking to just grow it. What do you find is some of the biggest struggles that newer entrepreneurs face, and how can they get around it? Like, you and I
question.
It's like there's marketing and there's strategies, but then there's also a ton of mindset. Like, what do you find with clients is some of the biggest challenges that you have?
I think, on the internal, I think self-doubt, fear, limiting beliefs about what your potential is. This is like kind of the inner game work that really can prevent people from hitting the next phase, because they get locked in like, oh, I'm doing okay, but I'll never be able to do this, or I don't want to be too greedy, or having a lot of money is just good luck, or whatever their limiting belief is about success, and really addressing that. And I do a lot of work actually giving people lists of 100 of these limiting beliefs and saying, look at these, like check off a couple. Or any of these relate to you or the family of origin that you came from, that could be like deep seated in you. Anyway, so that's the one side, like really checking and keeping appraised of what your limiting beliefs might be that are holding you back. So that's kind of the inner game side. On the practical strategic side of entrepreneur life is that people often don't create a system. They don't understand that in a business, you have to run it like a business, which means there's certain levels and elements to a business that you have to actually think about. So you don't want every sale to be just a one-off. You don't want every client to just be there for one thing, to buy one thing from you, or to interact with you on one level. You want to create kind of this pyramid approach where people enter into your business at different levels, and you're prepared with all kinds of things, whether it's marketing, whether it's what you have to offer in your business, that you have multiple levels that keep guiding people to stay connected to you. And so I would say it's like a system. Entrepreneurs need to learn systems. Often we're all freewheeling, free-spirited folks, right? And we don't tend to be as good about putting, not wasting time doing things that you're known to have expertise on, hiring the right people to do, for example, to do your content on a website because you're not a writer, right? Mm-hmm. But then spending your time doing the work that you're really good at and love to do. So often entrepreneurs feel like they have to do everything themselves. But if they're not good at creating an ad, what they would spend having a professional do an ad for them could launch them into giving them lots more time to do the things they are good at and what their business is really about. So I would say those are the two things. Yeah. The limiting beliefs on the inner game and the systems and getting enough help on the other side. Most people learn that the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you bring up systems because, as much as I love the inner work and I love talking about all the woo-woo, I mean, this is like, I always call myself, I'm like half masculine and half feminine. The masculine side of me knows because I come from a different entrepreneurial world, but I know that it's very important to have a plan, an action plan, and to execute on a plan. And if things go wrong or not according to your plan, then you make the turns, but you have to have, systems put into place. You have to have organization. I mean, this is why I always tell people, I don't care whether it's me or not, but you need a business coach if you don't know business, especially if you don't know business. Like, I don't care what kind of business you have, very few people are born knowing this. And if it doesn't come naturally, you need to learn it and implement it, or else years will go by. I mean, we've all heard horror stories where years go by and, someone I know who makes a ton of money was like, I didn't pay taxes for 3 years. And I'm like, oh my God, don't do this to yourself. You need to have a plan. You need to, it's like, it's not a hobby. It's a real business. And
also, I think that people don't recognize that lots of people are talented and have good ideas and can be successful in a particular business. But why aren't they all? Well, they aren't all because they don't have a good follow through, or they're too afraid to ask for help, or whatever. Like, so the people that are truly successful have support. I mean, I think one of the things that really separates people that are fundamentally like extraordinarily more successful from those that are not is that they surround themselves with people that believe in them, support them unconditionally, and also help them in ways that nobody, a friend or family can't. And that's a real, like when you look at the top athletes, the top corporate leaders, the top political leaders, they're surrounded by coaches and support teams. And so many people feel they don't recognize how important that is when you want to grow to the next level. You need someone, you need someone to hold your hand and help you through the rough stuff. You need someone who can give you a tool or an idea or a technique to help you, to lead you to the right resources. These are very, very essential elements for people getting through certain levels of business success.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And I love that you bring this up because it's actually very important and a huge part of why I'm doing this series. Now, really quickly, can you tell people a little bit more about the free gift that you're offering, which is in today's email? They'll be able to click the link and get it. I know it's the stress-free formula to manifest your dream business.
Yeah, so it's really a webinar, right? It's a free webinar. It gives some suggestions and ideas about the things that I've been talking to you about. It's not, it doesn't have every element, but it does give you some tools and things that you can think about as you're wanting to grow or launch your business. And then I think the best part of all is that if you just get through it and click a link, you would actually get to talk to me. For people that are on they're listening in for you. I kind of stuck that in there on the end of that webinar that they could actually click in, book a free strategy session, and actually be able to specifically talk about maybe what their real questions that may have come up as we've spoken today. And I'm happy to do that. And it's no obligation to do anything other than maybe just to answer a couple questions.
Awesome. Awesome. This has been really good. I love all your wisdom. I would love to talk to you for hours, but I'm trying to keep these short because I know everybody's so busy these days. But Sharon, I really appreciate you being with us, and everybody, you can grab her free gift in today's email, and her website will be there, and you know where to get in touch with her. Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was really great to hear everything. And everybody, be sure to join us tomorrow where we have more interviews on the True Path Entrepreneur.